Welcome back. You're watching The Big Conversation, and today's topic is from me to mom, the identity shift no one warns you about. To help us unpack the layers from the loss of identity to rediscovery, from invisible labor to visible exhaustion, we're joined by a woman who represents the new wave of relatable, raw and real motherhood. She's a Gen Z mom and a content creator and a voice for young mothers navigating this journey with honesty and humor. An event planner and entrepreneur who launched her brand in 2018 with a bold Gen Z spirit. Known for authenticity and creativity, she inspires women through real-life storytelling, empowering content, her mom community, Happy Moms Corner, and beautifully curated events. Please welcome Boluwatife Akinwale, also known as the Nimi Chen. Hello, how nervous are you right now?
I am nervous.
Don't be nervous. Like I always say, you're around the coolest women in town. It's so good to have you here today. Thank you so much. And ladies, I'm actually excited to have this conversation today because oftentimes, you know, and I'm sure that at some point when you became a mother as well, you thought, no one told me this. What was your no one told me this moment, Jumoke?
Oh, my no one told me this moment was having the baby itself. You know, I mean, nobody told me I was going to back out at the last minute. Like, sorry, I didn't sign up for this. You know, labor was approximately 18 hours.
What
and
in the world?
it was okay at the start. You know, I still did the regular stuff, and then it started progressing. I said, "Hello, hi, what's going on?" You know, it was like something took over my body, and I just couldn't understand it.
Because we grew up thinking, oh, you get belay, you get, you know, you push, the baby comes out, and then, what was it?
My no one told me this moment was also something similar. So I labored for maybe over 48 hours.
Wow.
And because I'm a PK, pastor's kid.
Yeah.
So I've been fortified with a lot of faith.
Yeah.
So there's this book, the Supernatural Childbirth. Yeah. That was my Bible, and I was like, hey, but you got this. You know, and then the way I'm built, Hebrew. I have hips and all that. So I was like, nah, I've got this. I'm a Hebrew woman.
Child is like, oh, 48 hours.
By the time, I remember I started contracting on a Friday. By the time it was Sunday evening, my then gynecologist, Fela Doroto, his older sister, I just saw her pull my husband out of the theater, because then they had started inducing me.
Yes.
I was in that crazy pain and I was still not dilating past 4 cm or 5 cm.
Wow.
I just saw her grab my husband and look, the baby's getting tired though. The heartbeat is slowing down. I knew, I was like, no. God said me. No, I was like, I was wheeled out of that place because that was my moment of
like, what in the world? And you were like, how old were you when you had your first?
24.
24. Jumoke, how old were you when you had
I was 29.
29. And Nimi, tell us, what was your... Nimi is a Gen Z mom, so you had your first at how?
23, 24.
23, okay, 23, 24. What was your... No one told me this moment.
Okay, so initially I already knew I wasn't going to push. Okay. I don't know, I just had this mentality that, I don't think I've had crazy stories. Even from
I like the audacity of Gen Z. I can't shout.
Imagine you having said that.
Even for my own sister, the old labor, long labor, and all that. Like so my doctor was like, see, your baby's even very big. It's 4 kg. Let's just do this thing and get it out. So I think my own
nobody told me moment
was breastfeeding. It was so painful. I was like, sorry. I was all bruised and said, you have to continue. God. It was crazy.
And I like that we all have like diverse age of our first, because I had my first at 38.
Yes, I remember that one.
38. Wow. You know, so to anybody who's like in their early 30s, I think, oh, don't rush, or don't let them rush. I know that, yes, you talk about the biological clock ticking, but there's a 40, what's her name, Elizabeth Oshaw's just had her second child, and she's 41, 42, you know, so. Anyway, so my moment was kind of similar to both of yours, actually, because obviously I had read also, I read that book as well, and also I was hoping to deliver like the Hebrew, but I remember someone, it was Auntie Femi Olayebi, who I told earlier on that I had labored for about 18 hours. I labored for 18 hours before we actually decided to do CS, and that's because I grabbed my husband, I want to die. Let them cut this child out! I was literally, I grabbed him, I was like, get them to cut this child out, because thankfully they realized that she had tied the umbilical cord around her neck.
That's what was not making.
But I was thinking, I want to do, I remember telling Auntie Femi Olayebi, and she was like, oh, Dania. So at 38, you want to have natural. You know, so that was, and then also I had breastfeeding as well, because I also thought, you know, colostrum will come out, you know, but maybe, but obviously as well, they had to really, before I even came out from a theater, they had even got baby food for, and I was feeling like, no, breast is best, I want to breastfeed my baby. But, you know, so.
As in for me, when I hear people talk down on women that have CS,
they don't know.
They don't understand.
Me, I say it with my full chest. A lot of people are shy, but shame. I said, shame that what? That I went to war and I battled for 48 hours and I started to take that decision. And it happened with the second baby. But it wasn't that long.
Yes.
I think I got to 7 cm. You know, in fact, I remember the first baby. So the first doctor that came was Lagon Hospitals. He came and I recognized him as my friend's older brother. I said, he cannot check me.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. That's also a shocker.
How can I open my body?
Your private part is like, you're like this. And you're like,
everybody started laughing. I said, well, the pain is not yet doing it. I said, go and get a female doctor. Then I still, that was on Friday when it was still, but that Sunday, you didn't know earlier.
Nobody told you. Please come and check me.
Who was the gate man? Just you know. A lot of people don't tell you. You know,
so when people say they are lazy, even elective, because there's a reason why you take that decision.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of lives have been lost because they did not take that decision. They were not guided or whatever, and then now here we are.
Yes.
So that Hebrew woman thing. The Hebrew woman thing, we've attached it to just vaginal birth, but no.
Yes, even cesarean.
To be a Hebrew woman, you birth that child, whether it was vaginal, whether it was cesarean,
as
whether
long as you're alive, baby is alive. You know, I don't even believe in that.
As long as your baby comes out good,
absolutely.
You are good.
Well, yes, and I've heard of preaching about this Hebrew, and I know oftentimes we sort of turn the Bible towards whatever. I've heard the preaching about it, and really, I don't know if it's really about just you just pop the baby and the baby just sneezes and the baby just jumps out. So I think people need to just
that
stop.
That it just comes out.
I had a peculiar experience with my second. So, of course, the preaching thing, supernatural childbirth, I could recite it. You know, it was that serious. But the second time, she was breech. I knew she was breech by 6 months. And then my pastor told me, let's pray to turn the baby. And so we prayed. And I went home on Sunday afternoon. And I ended up in ER. Because the baby was trying to turn. I said, Father, make the baby sit down. This baby is not turning. You know, because the pain was much. You know, so my gynae says, okay, let's. So I had to re-pray. Please don't turn the baby, let the baby sit down. And then my gynae said, I can deliver the baby sitting. You know, so I had to decide that, are we doing this or am I going for CS? And somehow, every time I heard the word CS, I just had peace. I said, sir, please, just so the baby had the cord around her neck twice. It wasn't once, it was twice. So the cord was short. She could not turn.
So she had even tried.
So if they had tried, there was no, I would not have lost the baby. So now, all these stories, you can't tell what this scan does not show the cord around the baby's neck. So for me, it was a big lesson in why don't you just go with what you're at peace with. It's not about the vaginal delivery. I've done it before. I know. As a matter of fact, I had so much more peace with the CS that I started thinking, why do people
I just didn't want to dish that as a propaganda.
So why can't things just be easy? Why do people propagate if it's hard? That means you've worked hard. That means you earn it.
It's just word release.
Yeah.
But the Gen Zs are not like that. That's why I admire them. Soft life.
The first one.
They work smart.
The first one, after the vaginal delivery, you know, it was the birth itself that was, nobody prepared me for this. So I was lying down, you know, they'd done all of that, and I had episiotomy. I hated the episiotomy more than the birth. I hated the episiotomy more than the birth.
Can you tell them what it is? Because
so the baby's head is kind of big, so they cut.
They cut.
So
like
the
they
baby
cut a kind of scissors to cut your vagina.
Opening the vagina open so that the baby could come out. Well, I was in the middle of a contraction when they did the cutting, so I didn't have a problem. Now my gynae now took one of the other doctors to finish up. There was no amount of anesthesia that guy gave me. I could feel every stitch. I screamed throughout after the baby was out. Now that was not even as painful as the fact that they decided to discharge me, and the first time I stood up, they realized I was still bleeding. This was more than 36 hours after. So I stood up, there was a gusher, and I passed out.
My goodness.
So when they picked me up from the floor, now I was not conscious enough, but I knew they were pulling me in like 8 different directions. And the first thing I shouted was, "Can't somebody just carry me?" And they all started laughing like, if you know how close you are to death, you will not be complaining about the number of people carrying. I said, Now, you were saying you saw one doctor. Oh, the doctor that attended to me when they noticed I was bleeding, he actually put his hand up to his elbow, in there to drag out blood clots. And there were 6 male doctors on duty. Who am I to look for a woman?
You wouldn't be able to go back to that hospital for anything.
But it was UCH. How do you avoid?
Oh my God.
The syphilis in that.
So the next time you ask a woman what she brings to the table,
don't even ask that question.
That's why we're having this conversation. Not just for the young girls, because I mean, I'm sure a lot of things we're talking about, our parents went through them as well. But I don't know if there was some silence or there's something in your brain that when people are talking about it,
no,
you just push it away.
They just didn't want us to know, just so we don't get scared. I think because older generations believe in let's make it no matter what they bear when they get there.
But they're not prepared when they get there.
Yes, because
there's a mental preparation that's necessary.
Absolutely, and I think that's so important. All right, we've talked about the physical. I hope we didn't scare. I'm sure we didn't scare anybody.
No, it's actually very interesting.
Especially if you're pregnant, this is just really just to educate you and to just know that you have options. Don't let anybody scare you into or make you think, you have to be strong. It's okay to be soft. All right, as we're learning from the Gen Z mamas.
Well, it's not even soft. The CS even soft.
Because
the
recovery is
and you carry this scarf forever.
Yes, the recovery is not. It's so painful.
True.
Before you're able to sit up, before you're able to
even breastfeeding for you is so hard with this car.
So
absolutely. All right, let's talk about some of the things we miss about, because that's one thing, and I know people have said that when you become a mom, you lose a part of yourself, or you miss. I mean, both of you had your babies at 24. Did you feel like you missed something? I know you've had this debate online when I see you. So when people make it seem as if you are missing out on something to have kids so early.
Okay.
Do you feel like that?
For me, because mine was, a long time. Yours was probably. How old is your first baby?
It's 3.
So yours is even recent. I mean, there's even social media to keep you company.
Yes.
So I had my first baby now. She's going to be 19 in December.
Wow.
Yeah. Her brother's going to be 17 in December. So this was how many years ago?
Yes.
Where DSTV was even like gold. Do you know that kind of thing? Right. So I do know that when I had my babies then, I mean, by my nature, I'm very maternal. So I got like lost in all of that, and my mother
really taking care of your younger ones before
was amazing. Yeah, so I like the process, but I did miss out on stuff naturally because again, that was around the time my friends started getting married after I had first or second kids. Please, how am I supposed to go to a wedding with a 2-year-old and a baby? So I naturally missed out, and I just made up my mind that I wasn't going to drown myself in that sadness. So I would support them the way I could. We'll catch up. The ones I could attend, send them gifts. I'll support by buying the Ashoebi. I might not wait to be in my wardrobe. But then, so I don't think I really felt like I missed out then. And when I thought I was ready to go back into like the workforce, I told my husband, guy, and I'd done my own bit and I tried to navigate myself. So it felt like maybe I missed out. But to be honest, I don't think. I enjoy being home. It's comfortable. It's comfortable.
How about you, Nimi?
I think we're kind of similar because trust me, sometimes when you go online, you see your age mates, they're just everywhere. They can just say, today I'm going to Abuja, and they just get on the flight and they just travel. But it's not like that for me. I have a husband, I have a son. And sometimes it could be like, maybe I'm missing out. But in the real sense, I'm doing something even worthy, like beautiful. So I feel like anytime I'm ready to start that part of my life again, I can always pick it up from wherever it is.
Absolutely. And besides, there are people who are single who have not achieved as much as
absolutely.
So that's why when I think about that, I'm like, marriage only stops you. Children only stop. Well, children really
naturally
stop. Yes, they delay you. They hinder you. They delay you and they hinder you somewhat. How about you, Jumoke?
Oh well, I think we would say that the trajectory changed. Okay. So I got married and pregnant in the middle of my master's program. I was taking a program in international trade and investment law in Africa. Now, according to my husband's plan for my life, you know the way those things work. Yeah, so according to him, immediately after that program, I'm supposed to go to the World Trade Organization or the World Intellectual Property Organization for an internship. And then I'm not supposed to come back home. I'm supposed to be lost in Europe.
Join you.
With the children.
Exactly.
So I got pregnant.
By getting pregnant.
Well, his plan, not mine. I like Ebu, I'm maternal. I wanted kids. I mean, I think I wanted kids more than I wanted to be married. You know, so
First child.
no, the last. So I understand the spoiling, and I just wanted someone to do that for. So I just came home. And he couldn't understand it. So what are you doing at home? I'm having a baby. That's all I'm doing at home. I'm not doing anything else. I'm having a baby. And then, of course, naturally, the members of my family, even him, felt, okay, so what happens to all this intelligence? Keeping in the house. And then having the baby, I realized, well, before the baby, I came home. I had like 3 months before the baby. And nobody wants to employ a pregnant woman.
Absolutely. I don't know why.
I even want to work for free. Let me just come and sit down. And then they just don't even want you to come round. And then you just have a baby. And then in your interview, you tell them your baby is 3 months and they still don't want you to come.
Yes,
because they think you're taking time off for
you're going to go for vaccination. You're going to, their job too is going to suffer.
I feel like that's actually very unfair.
It is discriminatory.
It is.
However, I see what an employer would feel if every time I need to get job done, my person is telling me, I have to go for vaccination. I have to, the immunization. My baby once your baby is ill, you can't just dump that baby. Yes, you can't leave it to a nanny. Even if you have all the support system in the world, there's no way you can focus on your job knowing that I don't know how men do it, but they seem to do it very well.
Well, because you are the one that has that feeling when your baby's ill. Not all, some men do, but not all men feel incapacitated because their baby is ill.
Baby's running the temperature. So I get what an employer is feeling because you want to make money and your money isn't made by someone else's excuses. But we must not discriminate and we must show empathy. I get that. But let's talk about our bodies and the changes there. Let me start from it.
I have a lot to say.
I was like, woosai. Okay.
I have a lot to say.
Woosai.
Okay. So for me, mine. Okay, so I've always been a big baby. From even when I was a child. So I've always been on the chubby side out of all my siblings. But then I got conscious about my weight in UI, and I remember from like year 3, I learned how to start walking more, eating less, and I sort of toned it down. That's when I started having my children. Wow. Hallelujah. So my mother-in-law was fine. That's what I always tell. There's nowhere I don't shout it. My mother-in-law is probably one of the most amazing women because, when you have someone that does everything for you. So I didn't have that issue of worrying that my mother-in-law is around and I have to take care of her. No, I was totally catered to.
Wow.
Head to toe, my baby was totally catered to. So I was spoilt. I was a spoilt nursing mom, and that made me the downside of that. Like I said, everything has its pros and cons. So when I wake up in the morning, should I carry the baby, come to bath for the baby, whatever I had expressed, probably try and feed the baby. I should have made pap in the cooler. There's probably already a malan or bonus somewhere, and she was just feeding so that so she just kept doing that, and then I remember my first baby, we didn't have the help. She was clean. She would do everything, whatever I could try and do, I would do. If not, she wasn't forcing me to do anything. She would wash everything into my underwear, to my nipple pads.
Is she still alive?
She is.
Mommy.
And so for me,
God bless her. God bless her.
I added a lot of the con was I added what? I mean, I remember when I got married, I was probably like 72 kg. By the time I realized it was time for me to weigh, I didn't know. I was probably like 100 and
really?
Yes, but my second baby.
Wow. That's a lot.
And I was like, what? No, we are home. I wasn't working. It's when you're going to work, you realize that
my clothes are
But at home, I went jalamia, PJs,
loungewears and all that.
You don't realize
so downside, my body changed, and I remember the first time I realized that change. That was after my first baby. She was about 9 months. I told her, I was like, I need to. So I started starving, and I landed in the hospital with bad ulcer, and all that. And I realized that obviously that's not the way to go around. So I had to research, and that's what my business is founded on, where I was able to find how to do these things the proper way, and then create food and all of that, but your body will change.
Wow,
Not everybody has that fantastic natural snap back.
Yes.
You're going to have stretch marks. You're going to have, till tomorrow, you're going to have poop.
Yes. And the thing with some slimmer people, you were, in fact, slim. But people assume that people assume that your body doesn't change as well.
I post that picture.
One day, I don't check up when she put it out. People assume that slim people don't also go through those changes.
Really?
Now, my change was phenomenal, let me say it that way. So I got pregnant at 53 kg and I had my baby at 81 kg.
You were 53 kg?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
Maybe I was that
actually.
I'm still 55 kg.
Yes.
So I don't know what you have. You are blessed though.
By the time the baby came out though, I was weighing 81.
Wow.
That's
heavy.
30
That's a
kg.
lot.
So the doctors go, in pregnancy, you're supposed to gain 10 to 12. How did you end up gaining almost 30?
What?
You know, so it was a huge gap.
Yes.
Now, in that process, by 3 weeks after, I was back to 55.
What? 3 weeks?
Yes.
I lost
3 weeks.
weight during
goodness,
breastfeeding.
really?
30 kg in 3 weeks.
Yes,
Wow.
I was back to 55. So by the time, Folabomi, by the time Folabomi was born at his naming, I was back to what I was before I got pregnant.
What?
In a week.
No, 3. It was 3. There's 3 weeks between them.
Naming.
Yes.
Yeah,
Between
that's between the two babies.
These
It was
two
about
two
3
babies,
weeks, yes. So in the pictures, I looked exactly the same way I looked before I got
Wow.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Now, see, that change. The first baby, I had spots instead of stretch marks. The second baby, I had stripes. Yeah,
Like a
so
zebra.
so I went from nickname leopard to nickname
Zebra.
tiger. Tiger
Wow.
stripes. It sounded like a joke, but it affected my self-esteem
Yes.
because the spots were everywhere because I expanded so fast. So the second time I also gained 30 kg.
What?
Wow, I think that's
Yeah,
a thing
so
Did you bounce back as well as baby?
yes, I did, but I now went for birth control, which is still a mom thing, and then
poof.
Again.
I couldn't control it anymore. It was injectable. I gained 17 kg, so I
Hormones.
stopped and then went for Implanon, and then I gained another 70 kg. And then I started having hormonal issues, hair loss, having sty in my eye.
And they'll tell
It's
us,
a mommy
what do we bring
thing.
to the
table?
So
Come to the
my
table.
own is, why can't somebody just do vasectomy instead of me having to traumatize? Because, hey, do they have hormonal imbalance from birth control? I don't think
Exactly.
so. So much drama went on in my body because I used a particular type of birth control.
Absolutely.
So even though the body just looks,
Yes, people look
but
like
a
a
lot
lot.
has been
Like, yes, you know what did your body?
Okay, for me, I was size 6 before I got married.
Wow.
Very slim, I was a model now. So when I had my baby, okay, I was 54 kg before, and then at birth I was 74 kg.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to lose weight. But then the stretch marks, the spots on my back, I still have the pictures. I can't get over them. Like, why? Like, what's happening? And then after my baby, I got this.
Implant.
I can't remember the name. And then I just went, pff, and then people go under my comments, Mimi, you're looking so chubby, baby number 2 loading.
Oh Lord.
And I'm like, are you people normal? Who told you I'm expecting?
Exactly.
What? Like, everything is just very, like, I was not informed. Nobody told me anything. And then the whole hormonal imbalance, I could relate to that because acne here, this one there, hair loss. Oh God.
Yeah, and I know we all have different, because for me, I think I was 54 before I had my baby. At 55, I went to 60. That was my biggest when I was pregnant. Oh my God. That was like, wow, 60. 60 is my biggest. Biggest. And I'm back to 55, so.
Wow.
But then I was a mature. I don't know if it was because of.
No,
I
it's
don't know.
your genes.
Okay,
Your
maybe.
genes.
Yes.
Definitely.
So different people, different realities and different stories. And that's just what it is, because you can't compare your motherhood journey to somebody else. We haven't even talked about our mental, how it shifts us, because now it's like someone, mommy. And it's like, that in itself is something, but I think we will be able to explore that when we move to our next segment, because this has been such a powerful conversation, from body image to career sacrifice, loss of friendships to new perspectives. The transition from me to mom is never a straight line. But don't go away. Up next, we have our hack of the day, and then it's time to put our panelists on the spot with some juicy agree or disagree question. You don't want to miss this. It's still the big conversation. All right, interesting. There were boy moms there, and we're just sharing, you know, that hack. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Right. Okay, well, I can't relate. I'm a girl mom. All right, you're still on The Big Conversation, and it's time for one of our favorite parts of the show, Agree or Disagree, where opinions fly, eyebrows rise, and truths are revealed. Let's see where our guests stand on some bold statements about motherhood and identity. And our question for today is: there's no such thing as a work-life balance once you have kids. We know we talk about work-life balance a lot. We have conferences we talk about, but there's no such thing as work-life balance once you have kids. So Nimi, you have your agree or disagree. So you will flash to let us know what you think. Ebu, what do you think? There's no such thing as work-life balance. You agree?
Actually, I do.
You agree? How about you?
And I would
disagree.
I would explain why.
Okay. So two disagrees and two agrees. Fine.
So why I would say there's no such thing is there's work-life balance when you look at it holistically, but at that very point, something suffers. So, for example, I'm also an event planner.
Okay.
And I have my kids and I have my business I run. If whatever at that point is priority, the others will suffer a bit. So I know that I have a deliverable in the next 1 week for my clients. Probably have to travel out of town. My kids will see me. So that our normal night talk gist, it's not going to happen like it should.
But is it because of kids or just single people? Is it that single people or people who don't have kids have work-life balance? Is it because of the kids?
Because work-life balance is what is life.
Yes.
So in our own case, life has not left only your family and all. It has not included your partner, your children, how many children you have, and all their different needs and everything. Right. So that's why I tell people. So there was this interview I did, and I told them that, look, work-life balance holistically, yes, but per time, I'm not sure. Something would have to take the fall. Right. It might not be too bad, but gently at that for that period. It might be nature that is priority now, then something else will take the back while I focus and try to just ahead. Then another day is nature that is like, oh, you guys, Emma, we're okay.
This is what focus on my kids.
No, but holistically at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, you will look like, oh, okay, I mean, you're able to manage and, you know.
Even if it's your wig is on the floor. Oh, yeah, then, all right, Mimi.
I actually agree because I always say something. For every point in life, you have to have a scale of preference. For me, I create content for brands. So if I have a deliverable for a brand and I have to go out to work or whatever, I can't take my baby with me for about some hours. He might not see me. I might not be a mom at that point. I have to focus on work because, of course, they've paid me. If I have to do something for maybe my event planning brand, I might not be at home. My husband might have to, fill in for me. And then in that time, I am not being a wife as I would want to be. So I feel like for every point,
that's how I feel too.
It's just your priority at that point. But of course, family is always priority, but work, we have to make this money. So
Okay. So I disagree.
First disagree on the table.
Yeah, I disagreed because what you have just described is work-life balance. Now, why is it a balance? Have you ever seen a scale that they have you moving things from one side to the other? It will never, you will never, that's it's constantly moving. So at one point, you're wearing your mommy hat. 2 minutes after, you're wearing your CEO
That's
hat.
how I feel.
3 minutes after. Now, you see, you have the luxury of 3 hours. I'm sure she doesn't have the luxury of 3 hours taking a break from being a mom for 3 hours. You remember your daughter must come home to something, and then in the middle of all of that, you are getting your work assistant, please buy me charger, my daughter's charger spoiled. So there's really, you must be intentional, and that's why as a coach is important. One of the very first things you need to do is outline your roles in life. You will never have a time when you have enough time to split it for everybody. At every point in time, something will be more important than everybody.
So that's how I feel. So is that still work-life?
Work like
okay, so
that's how I feel. I mean, just to piggyback off what Jumoke says, I think balance is whatever you call it.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, because sometimes I think the not being stable. I'm thinking of maybe someone who is maybe like a magician who's standing on, not being stable is when, just like in the Bible, when Peter stopped looking at Jesus, and then it's when we compare ourselves and we think, is that what balance should look like? No, but everybody's on that whatever, like, okay, mom, I'm here, I'm a GM, or I'm, head of comms and whatever for PSG UK. I'm a lot of things, so balance is also getting your support system. But then because what we're told is, as a mom, this is what your children should look like. Sometimes when you come to my house is untidy. I'm sorry, and I have kids. Exactly.
There were times that my house too would be like, toys, magazine, but now because I mean my baby is older, wherever you keep anything, so everything is like that. No, it's in phases and
balance is what balance looks like for you. You have to get the support system. You don't be, because when I hear people that and I don't judge you. I don't want it. Someone told me this recently. She has 3 kids under 5. Oh, husband doesn't want a maid. They don't want a this. They don't want a that.
There's that song that's trending online.
The husband.
That song that they're
what's that? Yeah,
President.
Because why? Because exactly.
You want to kill yourself.
Absolutely. So I mean, balance is whatever. Because for me, I've always had a nanny. I've always had
me too.
Great support system. And even till that, no matter what,
with the support system.
Thank you. Because people think, because you have a support system means that it's not still hard. There's sometimes at my work, I know there are great people who are looking after my children, but me, as in my mind is still there. I want my children to learn from me. And you know that the more time you're away from your kids, they are learning stuff from other people.
And you don't know what they're learning.
And even the great people that are looking out for them too, the truth is they're human.
Yes.
So they're also fallible.
Thank you.
So there's still a lot of gaps.
Make mistakes. I will not tell you.
You still need to always be on top of things all the time, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, being a mom really does change your life. And we're not just talking about biological mom, because there are people who are stepmoms, people who are,
you parent.
Yes, if you are parenting someone, because you stop thinking about yourself. And I think that's the number one thing. And I think even as women, we take that too far.
Yeah.
We think about everybody else
apart from ourselves.
I left
that WhatsApp group a few years ago.
You're a big mommy now. It depends on what. Yes.
No, it's not really about children, agency or whatever, but I just realized that I'm big on mental health. And I think every woman should identify what makes you feel relaxed and safe. And make sure you prioritize that. Because look, a family is always centered on the mom. And if the mom is not happy and balanced on that.
And I do want to.
So I quickly realized that I know what works for me.
And I do want to also reiterate, her children are older. So as a mom, know that your children face the phases and the ages of your children will bring different phases.
Exactly.
I remember when the newborn stage, it was like, what is going on? I couldn't sleep. The sleep deprivation. I could not sleep. And you know when your eyes.
My eyes are but
then when they get to maybe 5 and they're able to tell you, okay, go. So yes, it eases you a little bit. But then different levels, different devils. This level now, I'm going to be praying, let my children marry well. Let my
mommy, I'm going out to the house.
Thank you.
I told you I followed the research you had, and I didn't want to be the bad mom.
Yes.
Or not to come and say, don't go.
She had a date?
No, she
have her friend.
She had a party. She wanted to go because her friends were going. She has never been. And I was like, okay, can I come to? Because it was a ticketed party. And she was like, okay, mom. And so I started in a corner. And I allowed her with her friends, but I went because I wanted her to be able to. Because it's important you guys need to be friends. So you don't want to be like a helicopter mom. There's always because they will start telling you.
Yes. So there are different phases. So yes, we are every Ebu now because our children are older, but she's battling different things.
Self-care.
No, I'm saying that for a newborn it's harder. It looks different. That's what I'm saying. Self-care to someone who has a 2-year-old is different from self-care to someone who has an 18-year-old.
The duration of time.
Yes.
Let me give you
the amount of time. I left my 3-week-old baby at home to go for a dinner date.
Thank you. How important it is
because I was already overwhelmed.
How often can you do that? You can do that more often now.
Yes, but you
can be intentional about it. I'm talking about frequency. I have to go home a lot more. Oh yes,
I mean,
yes, but that's why I'm saying self-care looks different. It doesn't have to be what Jumoke does.
That's
what I'm saying. So it looks different if I have a 3-year-old and if I have a 17-year-old. It looks, but self-care is self-care. Whatever it is to you, make sure you take care of yourself.
And we actually specifically said that you must know what makes you relax.
You have That's what I said, that you must know what makes you relax.
There are times when you need to take off for days to stay sane. Now, I do that a lot.
Every time I'm on leave, who has a newborn and doesn't have support system, you will take off.
Now, you think it's not possible. You have a you get a support system. Acquire one. It is necessary.
Your mental health is important.
I know that.
You see that thing? You must
have a lot of friends who are abroad where the support system is not like how you have here.
Then
we've
had this conversation to have babies.
See what I'm talking about?
Serious.
In the UK.
They just nobody will help you your baby there.
Nobody will help you. Someone who's like that, it will get better. Is what I'm saying.
True.
It will get.
So for me, let me try and step in for someone like that.
Yeah.
So if I like to get away, but I'm in a situation where I only have a few hours, so rather than plan a lavish 5 days.
Yes.
Then I will lavish my 5 hours.
Go out
and go and get lost in some spa and just get my body rest. So it's about, again, what works for you at that time.
Yeah.
But make sure you. Some people don't even identify it.
Yes.
Some people don't even know it, and they're just lost in how hectic life is. So
and if you let it build up, you will need more time.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
you
please,
break down. And
you
then
see,
that child
to-do
will-
lists. That's the coach now.
burnt out.
To-do lists are not just for work.
Yeah.
To-do list is for rest.
Right.
To-do list is for rejuvenation.
Right.
When you create your to-do list every day, I always tell people every day,
yourself.
include something that
Yes.
replenishes you.
sometimes Jumoke will tell me, "I want parfait." That's what I want. I decided that it's
Today.
my today for my enjoyment. So it can be
Absolutely.
something
Yes.
as simple as
As
that.
simple as that. Get your
It can be
pleasure
Netflix
on.
time. It can be a massage at home.
Because
It
at the
can
end
be-
of the day, these children will grow up
And
and you'll be left alone. What is left of you? All right, our wise word on the web today say, being a mother is not. Nimi, read it for us.
Yes.
Actually, Nimi, read to us.
Being a mother is learning about strength you didn't know you had, and dealing with fears you didn't know existed.
That fear. I know we didn't talk
That's
about it,
true.
but there's this fear that, oh my God, is anything? I don't know if people have that. You're just afraid, oh, my children, are they going to be fine? Is
yes.
anything going to happen to
For
them?
me, it's the strength.
constant.
Ooh,
Lots
yes.
of people saw me as fragile. I even saw myself as I better go.
Oh, you're strong.
But when I got there, nobody
Yes.
told me.
Yes.
anything.
Just all of a
I had
sudden,
to just
yeah.
That's what I tell people,
Yeah.
that nobody will teach you.
Absolutely.
Your natural maternal instincts they will
Will
kick in.
kick in.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's a wrap on today's big conversation.
Wow,
If you're a mom,
that
a mom
fast.
to be, or you're just watching with love for the women in your life, remember this: motherhood may shape you, stretch you, and even shake you, but it doesn't erase you. Your identity isn't lost; it's evolving.
Evolving.
A big thank you to our fantastic guest, Nimi Chen, our amazing panel, this beautiful ladies, Ebu and Jumoke, and of course you at home. Thank you so much for watching. Keep the conversation going on social media using hashtag TBCGang. All right, and tag us at Dominion Broadcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep talking. It's been an amazing edition of The Big Conversation.